The Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy's track layers reached Denver from Omaha and Chicago in May 1882. The Burlington route's motto, "Everywhere West," was strengthened upon purchasing the Colorado and Southern Railway in 1908, adding a north-south main line along the Colorado Rockies and a sprawling, narrow-gauge network to its system map. A pair of chunky 280s served Colorado routes into the early 1960s. C&S 641 put on quite a show for Ron Ruhoff, moving molybdenum on the Leadville Climax line. Their last operating standard gauge steamer, 638, became a celebrity of sorts before her 1962 retirement. In May of that year, she emerged from the downtown Denver roundhouse. The steam-powered excursion was ready and waiting as railfans snapped keepsake images of the Iron Horse, built by American Locomotive Company in 1906. Mr. Ruhoff's wonderful films captured several special events in living color. An old-time crew gave 638 a last-minute going-over before veteran engineer Mickey Hansen guided the 56-year-old steamer. .638 led a northbound to Loveland, tag-teaming with the Great Western Railway for a rare northern Colorado adventure. With the end of steam, some rail photographers called it quits, mothballing their equipment, while others faithfully recorded first-generation diesels in action. I had no problem with the diesels because basically I grew up in the diesel era, and from the time I was born they were a part of railroading, so I've always had no problem photographing them. And yet, as I grew up, I told myself I would never become like the old-timers to me who lived in the past, and yet I've done exactly that, and I really quit photographing modern-day railroading probably 20 years ago. I started off with Kodachrome and started thinking, we're going to wonder how fast these locomotives went and what they sounded like and want to see some action, and video is just becoming affordable, and so that became the priority, and it's nice because now we can all enjoy it in these little 2.5 hour DVDs. I always admired Hol's 1970 book on the Colorado Road, known as the Colorado Road, and that was really one of the first places I looked when I started doing my own research on the Connors Spur. I was just amazed at the wonderful photos that he had taken of that somewhat obscure section of track.
I lived in South Denver, a couple of blocks from the Connors Spur, and watched and heard trains going out there regularly and could hear trains over on the joint line further to the west. And that sparked the interest. I'd ride my bicycle down to watch the train go out the Connors Spur. I was hooked. That led to my interest in the C&S and the Burlington.
On March 2nd, 1970, the Great Northern, Northern Pacific, Spokane, Portland, and Seattle, and Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy became Burlington Northern Incorporated. Burlington Northern expanded into Wyoming's Powder River Basin during 1972, awakening sleepy trackside burgs with a beat of lengthy rail trains from the Nebraska Panhandle to Texas via Colorado. On November 21, 1980, the St. Louis-San Francisco Railway, the Frisco, joined BN, extending its reach into the Deep South. Over the years, BN's Cascade Green livery, honoring pine trees along its tracks, proved somewhat problematic as equipment blended into the scenery, contributing to rail crossing accidents. Visibility was gradually improved with an enlarged logo, additional white paint applied to the nose and cab. In 1990, the railroad adopted a darker green, cream, and red for its F9 covered wagons, new SD70 Max, and business cars. Pre-merger Colorado was a colorful time, as Rio Grande Gold, Santa Fe Blue, Yellow, and War Bonnets met BN Green.